Hello, welcome back to the Sister Sip. Jayla's feeling a little sickish.
I probably sound a little bit nasally. I'm kind of hoping that I'm finally getting over this cold, so yeah.
Yeah, it's been going around. I still haven't caught it. Fingers crossed.
I
feel
might
like
tonight.
I know. I'm like, stay away. I feel like all of our, or a lot of our friends have gotten it in like our circles. So I'm like, when's this coming for me? I feel like every like winter or fall, like once it starts to get a little bit cold and I spend enough time outside, I get a little something, but I still haven't. So
I'm hoping that like this is the time that I'm getting it and then I won't get like sick around Christmas or
this is like your one
I
winter sickness. Yeah. Okay, well, today is going to be a fun episode. We're kind of getting back to our roots.
Yeah.
As in what our first episode was about.
Yeah.
We kind of discussed like marriage or weddings,
honeymoons,
newlywed life, just because you were kind of newly married at that point. And so it was kind of fresh on our minds, and we'll probably get into it a little bit more when we go into our What's Been Brewing segment, but we've had like a couple different weddings. So like weddings have kind of been on our minds, and when we were talking about what to talk about this month, we were like, I kind of want to like go back to that first episode and talk a little bit more about weddings.
Yeah.
And I know not our whole audience, but a lot of them are kind of in our similar age group, or you might have friends or people that are, you know, preparing to get married or have just gotten married.
Or daughters.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun to get a little advice from people about like what they loved about them or what they would not recommend. So you made us a really good drink that I'm excited to try.
So this is a cider, which is super easy to make. It's literally just like half, kind of like a chai concentrate, like extra strong chai tea that you brew, and then half apple cider. Like you don't need to sweeten it any more than that, and it's really good.
It sounds so refreshing. I've tried one of these.
I feel like it's not very hot anymore.
I think Winans has one.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, so I'm excited to try a homemade one.
Definitely could use to be hotter, but I feel like it's really good.
Oh, that is. It's like kind of reminds me of a wassail.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a spiced cider.
It'd be a good Christmas drink to make to like bring to Christmas parties and stuff, or little get-togethers.
Yes.
A lot easier to make, I feel like, than like a wassail.
Definitely. Well, it's definitely an easy recipe, so we will have it, as always, in our Instagram at the Sister Sip Podcast. I feel like we haven't like plugged our Instagram in a while. So if you're not on there, we should get on, because we have put all our drink episodes, or like all the drinks that we make in our episodes.
Life update pictures.
Yeah. And if you ever need like inspiration for a fun drink to make, like if you're having girls over, or like a party or something, just like we have like a little highlight and you can kind of go through. We have like all sorts, like summery drinks, more like warm and cozy drinks for the colder months. So definitely should head over there and follow us if you're not already. But let's get into what's been brewing. How's November been so far?
I feel like the only thing, like when I was trying to think about what to talk about and what's been brewing, is like the wedding stuff.
Yeah.
It's like those are just such big things. Like we had Mia's bachelorette trip, which is...
Both of these weddings were your in-laws.
Yes, they were. So it's really fun. Finn, Oliver's brother, married Mia, which is like already one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And so that was just like so much fun to like have her become a sister-in-law now. And so we had her bachelorette trip, then her wedding, and then right after her wedding, their weddings I think were like 12 or 13 days apart, was Oliver's sister, my sister-in-law Phoebe, and she married like one of my husband's best friends. And so like we're all friends, and it's like really fun.
It's like such a fun in-law family, because it's just like it's half your
like,
friend group.
It's kind of like, just a friend group, and then like, I know. So that was really fun. It was really fun. Oliver and I were both like stood up in both of the weddings, and it was just really fun. It was like, so Colin and Phoebe's wedding, it was like almost, it's like, it was like the last wedding for a long, long time in our friend group.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know, but like most of us are already married now. There's a couple who still like aren't dating or anything. But
so you're like you've been like a bridesmaid in so many weddings, and so
see your friends get married, and then now it's like, which is really fun to have them all married and like kind of be in the same stage of life together and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like that season is almost like past for us of like our
friends
really
getting
good
married.
friends getting married.
Yeah.
So, which is really crazy because it's just something you talk about and dream about for so long. And now, I mean, I'm sure we still have some friends yet to get married, but
it's like we were all like, there was a group of us, like we're all friends, like pre-boyfriends, or like we did, it was like just started dating. And then it's like, now here we are, like married. And
yeah, like you would talk through all the dating stuff of like, well, like, you know, is this normal? You know, like,
or
because we hadn't dated.
Or, I know.
So, and
it's
now
just,
like here we are all married. It is crazy.
But yeah, I feel like that's kind of all I have for life updates. Currently, I already told you this. Another house project. I think the bathroom's mostly done now. And then Oliver tonight, he started on it on Saturday, but he's building me like pull-out pantry drawers, which I'm so excited about because it's going to make my pantry like so much like,
more functional,
more spacious. And then, you know, I have that closet like in our living room that's just like, I feel like crammed full of a bunch of stuff. Like I can like, pull out a lot of like the different, you know, crock pots and skillets and like bring them closer to the kitchen on the pull-out drawers and stuff. And
that will be really nice. I know. I wish I had kind of a pantry space. We just have like cupboards.
You do have lots of cupboards, so that's nice.
I know. I kind of do. And we kind of reorganized a little bit. So I think our space is a little bit more like functionally used and like we're utilizing it a little bit better. And now I'm like, okay. Besides like wanting to like can and like store up a lot of stuff. It's really not bad for just the two of us. It's more like with like we canned like apple pie filling, and I'd like to get more into canning, but then I'm like, what do I do with all my cans?
I know, it'd be really nice to have a basement.
But it's okay. You know, if you're like, my house isn't perfect or we're right there with you.
House.
Yep. I don't have a nice walk-in pantry or like a basement for storage, but I am really thankful for my house.
Okay, so what has been brewing in your life?
So, for one, I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of some cat updates. Just a few. For one, if you missed it, if you haven't been keeping up, our cat, Pepper, went missing and, didn't know what happened to her. And when she first went missing, she went missing in September. So, it's been like 2 months now. When she went missing, we put up like posters around town, and I never got a single call. And I'd been thinking like I probably should take them down because they're just, you know, you have to take them down eventually. But it was probably about a month after I put the posters up. I was at work and I was just finishing up and I was about to leave, and I got this phone call. And it was this young girl, and she was like, hey, is your cat still missing? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, me and my friend were on a walk, and we think we saw your cat on this street. And the street that she told me is the street that's like literally just the next street over from us. And I was so in shock. I was like it had been a month. Like I'd already pretty much given up and been like, okay, she's gone. I need to take down the signs. Mm-hmm. And I kind of was like, what, like asked her about the general area. And she kind of told me like the general idea of where she saw her. So I just like beelined home, like tried to get there as fast as I could so I could like run over to that street and start calling her name. And I called Keegan. I was like, I'm not going to get my hopes up because it's been so long. But like I had already gotten my hopes up. Like in my mind, I was like imagining like FaceTiming you and like, oh my word, Mom would have been so happy. Like FaceTiming Mom and just like holding Pepper. She would have been like, oh my word, because Mom loved Pepper. And I was just like, oh my word, like imagining having a reunion with Pepper. I know it's just a cat, but it was just like, oh my word, that would be crazy. So I go out there. I walked all down the street calling her name. Nothing. And I came home and I was like, I was feeling like kind of discouraged, and I was like, okay, let me try again. So I decided to like try, like, let me go the next street over because maybe she's like a couple streets down. So I went, called her name, and also like she was pretty good about coming when we called her. So I wasn't really worried that like, oh, maybe she's like she's just not coming. Like I was like listening, like she would usually like respond and be like, meow, like kind of respond back. So I was trying to like listen for any like sounds. Nothing. And then Keegan came back, and I was like, I was just like, and I ended up deciding to text the girl who reached out to me. I didn't want to be like annoying.
Yeah.
Which when she called me, I was kind of like, just pick up the cat and bring it to my house. But it's kind of like a lot to ask. And you don't really, like, cats aren't really that great about being held sometimes to like bring like all the way. Like, it's a little bit of a walk back over to our house. But I was like, okay, like, was she walking around or like laying down? And she was like, oh, she was like laying down by some trash bins, just chilling out. And I was like, one of my big questions was like, did the cat have like a fluffy tail? Because I know it's not like so unique to have a fluffy tail, but I feel like that was one like marker.
Yeah.
Like, everyone would always be commenting about like, oh my word, her tail's so fluffy.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it was a fluffy tail. So Keegan and I like got on our bikes and we rode like all the way down. Like on a bike, it was a little bit easier to get far. George.
Scratching up the couch.
Is scratching up the couch. Yeah. But yeah, we didn't hear anything. And I was feeling like kind of sad about it. Like I'd already kind of gotten over her a little bit. I mean, I'm always going to be kind of sad. But then it was like kind of this like new hope. And then the next day, it was like another nice evening. So I was like, let's just go ride our bikes again and like call her name, nothing. So I feel like that's just always going to haunt me a little bit. And one of my regrets is like, I should have had, when the girl called me, like had her take a picture. Because I think I would have been able to be like, that's her. Or that's not her.
Yeah.
I just have no idea. I guess I'll always wonder, but I'm like, if it was her and she, like, somebody took her and she's living at a neighbor's house, you know, a street down or so, like, I feel like if she does get out, like, eventually, like, someday she'll, like, make her way back here, you know, like,
or
cats.
You'll see her. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it for the Pepper saga. I wish I had, like, a happy ending, but none right now. I guess I'll keep you posted if something changes. But if anybody is wanting an update on George and his, you know, his little bathroom issues, I, like, thought I had kind of had the situation resolved because I had seen him starting to use the litter box, but I was home all day with him one day, and I noticed him going and peeing on the carpet. And I was like, it, like, stressed me out so much.
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I cannot. And I was like, I feel like our house is starting to smell like pee. Which, by the way, do you smell pee?
No, but I'm kind of stuck.
That's true. I feel like I've kind of cleaned up the carpet. I'm hoping. I might shampoo it. Anyways, that's besides the point. I just wondered if it had maybe gotten better.
Yeah.
And so I decided to call the vet. And when I called the girl, she was like, well, does he like strain when he pees?
As a devil.
Oh no. Do you want to tell him how it's been going?
He's purring.
She was like, has he been straining? And I was like, I don't know. You know, like how cats, they like when they're going to the bathroom, they kind of always look like they're straining. I
They
was
have
like,
that awkward look on their face.
Yeah. And so I was like, maybe. And I told her, I was like, it's a kitten. So like, he's like too young to be like
neutered or
like spraying or anything.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, well, it could be like a blockage issue, which would be really serious. She was like, because if he has a blockage issue, like he could literally die. She was like, so I would keep an eye on him if he continues to pee. And I was like, well, this has been going on for a couple months. So I'm not. Yeah. And she was like, or it could be a UTI or whatever. So, you know, I have to kind of convince Keegan because, you know, vet bills are really expensive. So I was like, I mean, it could be a blockage. Like, what if he did die? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe so. We should probably just take him because I'm sick of this issue anyway.
Yeah.
So I take him to the vet. The vet takes one look at him and she's like, oh, he'd be too young for a blockage issue. And I was like, okay, well, the front desk or receptionist or whatever, I told her it was a kitten.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, okay. And this was like what I was afraid. Not that I wanted something to be wrong with him. She's like, I think it's like a behavioral issue. And she was like asking me about it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, he uses the litter box a lot of the times. Like, one time, we were hanging out in our bedroom and he was hanging out with us. And then he just like went over to the carpet and peed on the carpet. I was like, I don't know if it's just like he was just feeling too lazy. Like he didn't want to go all the way over there. And she was like, wow, we don't want to be assigning those negative human traits to our cats. Things like laziness.
Yeah.
They're not little people. And I was like,
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, George. But it's fine. The vet was really nice. She was just... So we ended up... She suggested having 2 litter boxes, like 1 for each. She says it's good to have at least 1 for each cat. So we have 2 litter boxes. I have not seen him pee since on the carpet.
Good.
I've seen him in some suspicious situations where I thought he was, and then I don't know, he didn't. One time, it was the other night, it looked like he was about to pee on the carpet, and I just picked him up and I dropped him in the litter box. And then he, like, jumped right out, and then he, like, got back in, and then he peed. And so I was like, okay, were you about to? Stay tuned. I don't know if the issue is being resolved or not, but that's just a little update. Another thing, speaking of weddings, is that for Colin and Phoebe's wedding, I did something for the first time, which was filming a wedding video. Phoebe asked me to do it when she first got engaged, and I was like, oh, my word. This was not something I ever expected to get into. But I was like, okay, I'll try it. It'll kind of push me creatively. And it was really fun. I just got her film back to her.
Very quickly.
Yeah. It was one of those things. I kept having this intrusive thought that I was going to the computer was going to crash and I was going to lose like all my editing footage, or that I would lose like all her video footage. Yeah. I just it was so much pressure. Yeah. Which it was fun. And I might be doing it again for somebody. So, I don't know. So, that was really fun. It wasn't perfect, but it was really fun to put together. There was a few things that I'm like, okay, I kind of learned from that. But it was fun for my first time. And maybe something I would get into. I don't know. We will see. I'll see the second time around. I'm not, like, advertising it or anything. Yeah. But maybe if I do it again, I'll be like, hey, maybe I'll start advertising and, like, kind of... Because it's kind of an opportunity to actually, like, have it be, like, a job. Like, I mean, YouTube, it's kind of, like, wishy-washy if it could ever really be, like, a job. Yes. But that's something that's, like, okay, you do one wedding and you can
pay yourself.
Yeah, you can definitely pay yourself. For anybody wondering on my update about being a clean person, what do you think coming into our house?
That pile of stuff is
we have like a pile by the door of things that we need to like return to
Maybe
people.
It's better. I don't remember. The kitchen probably was better. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. So
Does it look like,
I will say I'm not like, oh wow, I'm so clean and tidy. Yeah. But I think that we are making progress. Yeah. I'm still not great about like finishing what I'm doing. Like kind of like we ate dinner and I didn't necessarily like clean up dinner, which was something I was going to try to do, like finish what I'm doing before I move on. Mm-hmm. So we still have progress to make, but I know some people were kind of curious about how that clean journey, how it is transitioning from being a messy person to now, calling myself a clean person. Yeah. How that's going. So Keegan just wanted to say that Keegan has actually been doing better at this. Like Keegan and I both aren't the cleanest people, but like Keegan has actually been like really good about changing his habits, and he's the one that's like, why is there clothes on the floor? And I'm like,
can call each other out.
Yeah, so we're getting there. Maybe give me a couple more months, and sometimes it's just the small little steps, but that's pretty much it for life updates, what's been going on. I feel like we're kind of out. I mean, we're entering holiday season, but we're like out of that busy wedding season.
Yeah, I felt really crazy with like showers and trips. And it was really fun. I mean, it's really fun seeing your friends get married, definitely.
But it's kind of nice to be like, okay, now a little bit more back to normal life. Okay, let's get into wedding do's and don'ts. So we kind of wanted to go over some of ours. I don't know if yours are all about like your own or if it's like things that you've observed. Yeah. But if you're planning a wedding, you're engaged, or you think that maybe you'll be engaged soon, or somebody, I don't know, it's just fun to like, as girls, to talk wedding stuff. Oh yeah, I definitely. So I wanted to kind of talk over, maybe like regrets I have from my wedding or things that I would do differently or things that I like loved.
Yeah.
And we also have some submissions from you guys of the same, like what you loved or didn't like about your own wedding. So maybe it's something that you can like learn from if you're wedding planning a little bit. Which the first thing I wanted to say is that these are all like opinions to consider. And I know that if you are planning a wedding, you're probably going to get like tons and tons of opinions. So just take what you want and leave what you want.
Yeah.
You know, you really don't have to take anybody's opinions.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's like, I just love the traditional way of things, and you're like, I kind of want my wedding to not be that traditional and kind of do unique things, then like don't. But if you might be somebody who's like, you really like the traditional way of things, like you're very sentimental, or you just like to do things the way they've always been done, and people think it's boring, like just do. It's your day. It's literally one day where you should not have to like people please.
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there. So hopefully this can be helpful and not just like more opinions. Some of this might be things that I said on our first episode.
That's what I was thinking.
So I'm sorry
stuff too.
if it sounds a little bit like a broken record, but you know, it's been a little bit since we talked about it. And one thing is Keegan and I did not do a first look, which I think I am probably one of the people that's more like on the traditional side of things. Like I enjoy a traditional wedding. And so, which I really love going to weddings where they didn't do a first look.
Yeah,
like,
it's very sweet.
It's like, I don't see it done very much anymore. But this was something that I always say, and it might just be me, but if I was to do it over again, I would have done something with Keegan before the wedding ceremony that day. So without doing a first look, whether it would have been meeting in the morning before we get ready, or doing like a first touch, like prayer thing where you kind of like blindfold and like,
or just like,
because I had before the wedding, like I just feel like I had so much nervousness that I knew as soon as I was with Keegan, it would instantly be relieved. And like, I feel like I wish I wouldn't, like I could have enjoyed my wedding morning a little bit more instead of, I don't know, being a nervous wreck. Not that I was a nervous wreck. I still had a lot of fun.
A lot
that
of
morning.
Anxiousness,
But like when I look back on it and I'm like with other brides who like see their husband before, I'm like, oh, you're just like so cool, calm, and collected. And I was like, oh my word, like just like, and it's probably a personality thing, but it's something to keep in mind if you happen to be. I don't even know if they heard that.
Okay.
It was a little burp. I don't know. It doesn't even matter.
Okay. Why?
But yeah, that's just my thing if you do want to go the traditional route and not do a first look. And yeah, I think it is really cool to do things a little bit different.
Okay. I don't know if I talked about this or not on the first episode, but like one thing that we did at our wedding, and then my Oliver's sister did at her wedding, was a private first dance.
Yes.
And that was just really fun. Like right after the wedding, just like going and doing that with just like your bridal party and the family. It's just a really special thing.
It's so much more special and intimate doing it privately. Not to interrupt you, but sometimes first dances are really awkward. Like it's just everybody watching you share this like
very intimate moment.
Yes.
It feels so much more intimate when it's just like you just got married and it's just your like really, really close people there. And so, yeah, that was very fun. And yeah, I think it would have been really awkward to do in front of a bunch of people. Plus, like in our culture, that's not really something that people do.
Yeah.
In a more conservative culture, like doing dancing or anything like that. But just doing like a really intimate one, like picking out a song and just like, yeah, it's not really awkward at all because you don't like have all these people watching you, and like it doesn't have to be like some real like pretty performance or anything, just something really casual.
Yeah. I never thought yours or Phoebe, she was the other one who did the private. Like I never thought like, oh, this is kind of like awkward.
Yeah.
Like it was just very like sweet. And you can even just like I, had Keegan by me.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like feeling like in love with your own spouse too,
Yeah. It's not like this, big performance thing at all. It's just a really like sweet moment. Anyway, so that's just like an idea. If you're kind of thinking about doing a first dance and it sounded kind of awkward doing it in front of everyone, or if you're maybe like
More of a private person.
or a private person, or like you want to do a first dance, but you're part of a culture that doesn't really do
Yeah.
dancing, but it like still would be something that'd be really special to you that you wanted to do, then you could maybe consider doing something like that. But yeah, that's just something that I don't feel like I hear people doing that much.
Yeah, I loved it.
And it's just a fun thing to do.
This was kind of a little bit of a regret. It's not like this massive regret. It's just more like, oh, I would probably do this different. Did I say wet?
Wig wet.
This was my wig wet. No, it wasn't. I'm just kind of like, okay, I would maybe do this different. And I've been seeing people do this differently. Is especially if you have a bigger wedding. And so it's like more than like 150 people. Is to not do a receiving line.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
I had like 300 people at a very big wedding. And the receiving line, it made our wedding go so late. We didn't do our receiving line right after the wedding. We did it like as people were in the dessert line, which maybe made it longer because people like kind of stood there longer. I don't know. Our receiving line, like I really enjoyed talking to everybody. It was really nice. Don't get me wrong. But it was exhausting. And also it was like at the end of the day. So I would say if you're okay with not talking to every single person, well, there's like a lot of other ways. Like, did you guys do the like dismissing people?
We like went around to tables and like dismissed them to go and get cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And that's what Colin and Phoebe did too.
And so, yeah, I feel like that does go a little bit quicker. But I've also seen people, I think maybe our cousins did this, or at least one of them, like, they kind of like just mingled, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of like walked around and people came up and talked to them
during
type
the
of
like
thing.
dessert hour where people.
So it's like it wasn't this pressure that you have to talk to every single person, but then it was like if you wanted to go and talk, like you could just like kind of go up there and try to find a moment with them, and they don't feel like they have to like talk to every single person or whatever.
And I also think when it's like this really big formal line, like you can't. It's not as natural. You're more just like, congratulations, you're so pretty. Whereas when you're even just dismissing people and you can be more chatty, like just chatting about the day or just like going
the food
and
mingling.
And like sometimes you go to a wedding and you know the bride and groom, obviously you were invited, but it's just kind of like, what do I say? It's like, congratulations, so happy for you. And it's just like, I could maybe skip out and like, I don't need to talk to the bride and groom.
Yeah.
So like leave, if it's not this big line, you can leave more, you don't have to like think of something awkward to say.
Yeah, people that are closer to them or have something they want to say. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So that would be one thing that I would do different.
Yeah. This was something, I don't know if this is even that much of a wedding advice, but like, it's just don't spend that much money on thank you gifts. I don't know, like, I feel like with our culture, we always have like servers, like it's like different friends and stuff, and then like your guest book people and other stuff too. It's like you can just go, instead of like, you don't have to necessarily get everyone like a $15 gift card or like stuff that can rank up a lot. Yeah, you can go, I think I went to like some discount stores, like Big Lots maybe, in Target or something, and just like got a couple things, like a candy bar and maybe like deodorant or body wash and maybe like Arizona tea. I forget. Something that really wasn't that much money, and like put it in a gift bag. So it like filled up the gift bag, but then it was like, I think less than $10 a person. And then like for the kids, you can get like some toys or something like that. Like you don't always, I'll say it is really fun to get gift cards when you're in weddings too. But like if you're trying to save a little bit of money, like don't feel like you have to like spend a bunch of money on thank you gifts. Like you can still get them like a fun little array of things. It doesn't cost that much money. I think you guys did that too.
Yeah. I know, unless it feels like, wow, this person like bent over backwards for us.
Yeah,
like,
so if it's someone who's like really, played a big part in the wedding, then yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone plays a nice part in the wedding, but if it's just like you have like a bunch of server gifts to get and stuff, where it's like it just ends up really adding up for all these little roles, like don't feel like you need to get them.
On the note of money spending, I didn't have this down, and I also didn't do this at my wedding, and I don't feel like in our culture we do this a lot, but it's one thing I see, so I just wanted to put it out there, is you can do it if you want to, like totally if this means a lot. But one thing that I think is kind of unnecessary and a lot of money is to do party favors. Or wedding favors, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like as a guest, like sure, it's kind of fun, but like just, it's not worth the money in my opinion. Like
if you have something really fun and unique or you just want to do it, of course you can do it. But like, yeah, it's definitely not something you have to do.
And sometimes it's like something with their like initials engraved on it or something. And it's like, okay, I'm like not probably gonna use it again. I don't know. I did go to one wedding where they did little like maple syrups. That was really nice. I mean,
something everyone will use.
yeah.
Oh, so this was something that Mia did. I thought it was like a really fun idea. So it's like sometimes when you have a really big group of people that could be bridesmaids, like friends, and then you have a lot of sisters or sister-in-laws, it's like, and you don't really want to have a big bridal party, but you can't really, so it's like you can't really have them all stand up with you. She did, she had it, so she just ended up having like sisters and sisters-in-laws.
Yeah, because like Mia's also one of my like best friends
Yes.
too. Like we kind
Yeah.
of share most of our
Yes.
friends. So, but you were a bridesmaid, but I wasn't.
Yes, because I was a sister-in-law, going to be a sister-in-law. And so it was really fun that she had like all her friends come and get ready with her too. Like
Yeah.
that were in her close friend groups. Then it was like they still got to be like a part of the day. And like you guys were still like there around for a lot of the day. And like you guys took some pictures. And it was kind of like being in the bridal party.
In some ways, we got like the fun part of it without the hard part. Like we didn't have to, we had a few pictures. We didn't have to like do all the pictures.
Yeah.
And
you guys
we got to enjoy the wedding, like sit in the, like
Yeah.
we got good seats.
and you didn't like, you weren't even like servers or anything like that. So you really got to just like enjoy the day.
Mhm.
And I thought that was just a really fun idea.
Outfit change. Just kidding. You might notice that we look a little bit different
Yeah.
because we are recording this a week later. If you're not watching this on YouTube, we basically had finished recording this entire episode, and then Jayla left to go home, and we realized the second portion, like the second half of the episode, the recording was gone.
Yeah.
So kind of a podcaster's nightmare, but it's okay. We're here to re-record. We don't have a ton to do, just to kind of discuss. And we had you guys send in some more submissions, so we're going to be able to
Since
read
then.
some that we haven't read yet, and so it should be fun.
Yeah,
So
let's get right back into it.
you were basically discussing how you liked, like, if you have a bunch of friends or a bunch of sisters and you can't decide who.
Just don't want to have that many bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my friend or sister-in-law, now Mia, did. I don't know how much I already said ahead of time, but I'll just make it really brief because I probably already talked about it. But yeah, having them get ready with you, which is really fun. Maybe do some big group photos with them and your bridesmaids. Like, get your photographer on board with that if you want to do that. And, have them on your bachelorette trip. Yeah, so I think I kind of probably already talked about it mostly. But yeah, that's kind of, I don't know exactly where I left off. So
Yeah, I was one of the ones that like wasn't a bridesmaid because I wasn't a sister. You're obviously a sister-in-law, and it was really fun. Like I got to enjoy the wedding portion, but like without
still be
any
there
of the
for the
work.
fun moments of like
Exactly.
getting ready and the
Yeah, we
anticipation.
did like the bridesmaid first look with her. We got some fun pictures. So
yeah, and hung out a lot before the wedding. I feel
yeah,
like
it doesn't have to be like a drama thing or like a hurt feelings things. Like hopefully you have friends that can give grace, like
if they're not a bridesmaid.
yeah.
Okay, do you want to go to your next point?
Yes. So one thing is,
Are we sure that it's recording? Okay.
it is
We're
recording.
not doing this a third time.
Something that I've been talking to several people about, I even was talking a little bit with someone over the weekend, was like, do your research on your photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if you're like not engaged yet and like, you know, you're probably going to be engaged within a year, or even if you're, our cat is attacking Jayla. Even if you're like, you're not married yet and you think you want to be married someday, like looking at different Instagram pages that you like of photographers and like saving them and having a few, like a list of several that you like, because they get booked up really quick and your dream photographer, chances are they might not be available. So have several so that you don't end up settling for a photographer that you don't like. And I think you don't have to go and spend like $10,000 on a photographer if they're not whatever your dream person, but it is worth the investment to do somebody who is like more experienced, in my opinion, instead of feeling like
like if you have the money, that's a good spot to put it.
Yes. You have those forever, and I've heard several, not horror stories, but like a lot of people who maybe went the cheaper route or didn't do a lot of research on the photographer
And have regrets. Yeah.
So that is something that I'm really happy with my photographer. I had told this story already. I mean, not that it's a huge story, but I had reached out to several photographers, and one of them was Haley Peterson, who I ended up getting with. And I didn't hear back from anybody. And I was really disappointed because I was like, I should have done more research and like looked into more photographers. But now I just like don't even know who to ask. So I was starting to look at people that were, you know, on the lower end that I didn't really love their work, but I was like, maybe I just need to lower my expectations. And I was like about to message some different people. I was really disappointed because I was like, my pictures probably just won't be as good as I had hoped. And I just decided to like check my spam folder, and there was an email from Haley because I had realized she never got back with me, and I was like, I'm still waiting to hear back from her. She was like one of the ones that I really liked. And so I'm so thankful. She did such an amazing job, and she was just a really good photographer. And I ended up like, she did like a photo shoot for us. For Sister
she did our Sister Sip photo shoot.
So definitely get a good photographer.
Yeah. Okay. And then my other one is highly recommend a wedding video. That's just something I think is maybe it's not a big deal to you, so you don't have to do it, of course. But I just think, like, if you're on the fence about it, just do it.
Yeah.
I know that they're expensive, probably depending on the one that you book. But I just think if you have the money again, obviously I don't want to, like, be saying all these things, like, hey, while you're talking about, like, spend the money on the nice photographer, spend the money on a videographer. If it's, like, you actually don't have the money, like, be wise with your money.
Yes.
But if you're on the fence about it, like, it's just worth the investment, I think. And you don't have to get the nicest of the nicest. Like, even if it's just, like, a friend, like, taking some footage throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then, like, just having these little clips you put together. Or, like, there's probably some more budget-friendly options maybe around you, maybe not. Or, I don't know. But I just think it's very, very worth it. It's so special to have that.
Yeah. And, like, your day goes by in such a blur. Like, and you do have your pictures, which are really amazing.
Yeah.
But getting a wedding video, I was able to kind of relive my wedding day, like, through someone else's eyes. Like, as a guest, it's almost like you get to attend your own wedding. It's so fun. And I 100% agree.
Yeah.
We both had amazing wedding videos that I just I love. So that's a really good one.
Okay, and then one more here. I have do a prayer with a bridal party. Maybe most of you kind of have already seen people do that or already do that. I feel like a lot of the weddings that I've been in, we do, like, us girls do a prayer together, and then I think the guys usually do a prayer together too. But it was kind of fun at Phenemia's wedding. This is just another idea. We did, like, a joint prayer, which was really fun. So that's kind of another fun idea. It's kind of like, like both of the bridal parties together and, like, close friends too. And, just
it's
getting together to pray.
Such a special moment, like being able to either be surrounded or surrounding your friend and blessing them and praying over them before they literally enter one of the most important, like, covenant relationships of their lives.
Yeah.
Like, it's really serious. And so I think it's just such a special thing to get to be a part of that and get to pray with them and just really bless them in that.
And then my last one is, I think I already talked about this on our first episode, but don't think your honeymoon needs to be the most epic vacation / romantic trip of your life. Because I don't know. I feel like there's just so much hype around the honeymoon sometimes.
Yeah.
That it's like,
do you think it's especially, like, in the Christian community?
Maybe, because it's like mostly you're waiting till marriage. And,
and so it's like this big
all
deal.
Of a sudden,
you're
like, it's like you could, like, stay together, be alone together all the time, like, all this stuff.
Really fun.
Yes, I don't want to be like, it's not fun at all. But I just think that sometimes, like, it doesn't need to be, like, the most hyped, like, oh, it's just so romantic and so fun and just, like, so amazing, and, like, we can just never go back to that time. It's just like it'll be over so fast, and then, like, it's just over.
I mean, I hope my honeymoon was really fun, but I hope that wasn't the most fun vacation of my life, because that means I will never have a fun vacation again. Like, your most fun vacation might be 10, 15 years down the road when you're, like, with your kids and you guys, like go to the beach.
Like, it doesn't need to be, like, it. I don't know. And you don't need to, like,
spend tons of money
and, like, book some extravagant thing. And if you want to do that, you can do that. And like some people probably would say that was the most epic romantic vacation of their life. And that's fine if that's how it was for you. But like sometimes like don't feel bad if okay, it wasn't like near as much fun as I thought, or like it wasn't like what I thought it was gonna be, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Anyway, let's get into the submissions.
Okay, I'm really excited to read these because they're
I'm just gonna read the DM first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go.
Okay, so we had one person DM us. Then we can go back to those since it's on a separate thing. And she said, not spending money for a better photographer ended up with regrettable photos, which I think is a common theme.
Yeah.
So once again, kind of reiterating
it's
what maybe you said earlier. It's just, if you have the money, don't go cheap on that end, I would say.
Yeah.
If you're going to cut something, don't let it be the photographer side. Like, do something else.
Yeah. I regret my Walking Down the Aisle song, It's Always Been You by Phil Wickham. It's a beautiful song, but I legit found it the week of the wedding and spontaneously decided to use it. I wish I would have used a song that meant something to our relationship, or Liz on Top of the World from Pride and Prejudice. But on the flip side, our exit song is This Is What Falling in Love Feels Like. JVKE, I think that's the artist.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, was a cherry on top. Also, when we were doing vows, we forgot to say I do because we did personal vows. Not the biggest deal in the world, but kind of sad nonetheless. Yeah. I spent like so much time like curating my wedding playlist, and I think this is another really good point is choosing songs that are special to you because the music really sets the tone for the day. And obviously, I really like the song It's Always Been You by Phil Wickham. It's a really pretty song. But if it's not like this meaningful song that feels like you guys, you listen to that song by Pride and Prejudice, the Liz on Top of the World.
Yes, it's so pretty. I'm not even like a big Pride and Prejudice fan, so probably most of you already know that song. But yeah, I thought it was such a pretty instrumental. I actually walked up to an instrumental song. Other people walked up to like words. And I'm
what song was it?
It was one by Sleeping at Last, I think.
Oh, okay.
Atlas, maybe? Or,
yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Atlantic. I forget what it was. Anyway, I'm like, I maybe would have walked up to that one, too. It was so pretty. And I think we set this in the first recording, but we should share our wedding playlist, maybe. That would be kind of fun.
Like the songs.
Yeah,
like
I still have it in my notes, I think.
our whole playlist of, like, option songs?
No, like, I wrote mine down. Like, this for parents, this for bridal party, this for...
That would be kind of fun. It might
or
give
just
people
the songs we walked up the aisle to.
And something that could be fun if you're trying to decide. Oh yeah, I had live music.
Yeah.
So, but they were still like familiar songs, kind of. But if you're trying to like choose songs that are special to you, you could like listen through songs with your fiance and kind of decide together. I remember Keegan and I did that. Like we listened to a few songs together. Kind of made us cry, but because they're all like these like romantic wedding songs. But it's kind of fun. You can
it's fun to listen back to them even now. Like I kind of get the feels. Like, yeah.
There are only 2 things I tell my husband I would change about our wedding date, other than of course his family being able to be there as they were all in Mexico and were unable to come. My bouquet and having a professional photographer. Other than that, I loved our wedding. We had a small backyard ceremony at my grandmother's house, and that is something I'm so glad we did. It was beautiful, and we saved a lot of money by not paying for a venue. That is so sweet. Like, if you can have, like, a backyard wedding.
I know.
There are some stunning venues, but, like, I think there's some, like, really neat places that you could get married and, like, save money that aren't, like, a big venue. Especially if you're having a smaller wedding.
Especially if you get married, too, like, during a warmer time of the year, so it's like a lot more doable to get married outside versus obviously in the winter you can't do anything like that. But yeah, I think.
And our mom does flowers, so probably like bouquets mean a lot to us.
Definitely to me, flowers were a big thing for my wedding because I love flowers, especially the flowers I like, I guess, like colorful flowers, and that's just especially my style. So that was a big thing for me. Like the biggest decor part of my wedding, I guess, would have been the florals. But if it's not your thing, that's fine. But yeah, I think it's worth it then to like.
If you like pretty bouquets, then.
But the other
that
thing
might be
is
something.
Like sometimes people just don't have that many options around them.
Yeah.
Like florists and stuff, or sometimes just like florists maybe, I don't know, don't do.
I don't know. Sometimes their styles don't always align with your styles.
Yeah. Some people
It helps when
literally,
your mom is a florist.
Yeah.
Basically, and
we
does
were able
weddings
to-
and stuff. Yeah.
she was really able to execute the vision. Some
Yes.
people literally do like wildflower bouquets and go
Yes.
pick their own flowers.
Yes.
So that's
or DIY. Trader Joe's has lots of good flowers.
yeah.
Especially it's a lot easier if you don't have a particular color scheme.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing, I don't know, like just seasonal colors, especially if you probably get married when flowers are in season. You can just like get an array of different flowers and make them with your friends or something. And
That would
yeah,
be fun.
maybe that would really stress you out too. Like it would probably stress some people out, like to like make all the bouquets and stuff. But like if you have creative friends and you're creative maybe or think it sounds fun, like
Yeah.
that might be a really fun option to do.
My biggest regret is having to travel to get hair and makeup done. I wish I would have hired someone to come to the venue so I was able to spend more time with my bridesmaids. It was all so rushed, and it's my biggest regret. I'm really happy that I had a wedding planner. He was so on top of it, and I was so grateful. Yeah, hair and makeup probably doesn't mean that much to me. I think if you're the bride, like, even if you just have a friend who's good at it, like,
Yeah, that's
you
really
probably
nice.
want your hair, at least your hair. If you're used to doing your own makeup, you might honestly be more comfortable with your
Yeah.
own than somebody else's, unless you really want to go like full glam or something. Another thing that she mentioned is a wedding planner. We both had our aunt she was our coordinator, but
Yeah.
she was also kind of a wedding planner. It was so nice to have someone to
when
kind of
someone
help.
I had my aunt and then one of her friends, and it was nice to. It's like when it's people you kind of already know. It's you can like.
Really tell them
I don't
the
know.
vision.
It's not as awkward maybe, or
Yeah.
like you meet up and talk. Yeah, they know you. You know them. Yeah.
And if you are someone who has a big budget, like hiring a wedding planner might be like
Yeah.
an option to really get like some stress and some
Yeah.
decisions off of your plate.
Yeah.
Obviously that's not an option for everybody, but either having a friend that would be willing to kind of come alongside you
Yeah.
or hiring somebody is really nice. Regret not getting a coordinator or planner. I love my mom, but stress was way too high that day for someone close to take it on. Least to say it was an amazing day, but beyond chaotic.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Was her mom kind of? Does say love my mom?
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
I feel like that's kind of normal for your mom to kind of be your wedding
Yes.
planner. And
Yeah.
I would say that was kind of the case for us, but we
taking
like we
on
said,
a lot of the responsibilities, but it's definitely nice if you have someone for that day that like maybe your mom doesn't have to have it on her shoulders that
Mhm.
day. Like leading up to your mom's probably going to be taking a lot of this responsibility, but that day if you have people in charge of letting your mom relax a little bit more. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
that's a bummer. Yeah.
We got married in the fall in the evening. We had lots and lots of candles. It was so pretty. Have no regrets at all. Would do it all over again in a very similar way. That sounds gorgeous.
Yes, that does.
Cozy fall wedding,
Yes,
candles.
Yes.
Who was it? Oh, yeah. Phoebe just got married.
Mm-hmm.
I know we keep mentioning the same two weddings. I was
Yeah.
trying to remember who did
They
this.
were very close together.
but
and
she
recent.
did a candle send off.
Yeah, I know. I don't see that done very much, so that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
People held like taper candles.
Like
and
little, yeah.
It was really cute. So glad we had our parents come up and pray for us as part of our ceremony. So glad we stole away for some golden hour photos during our reception. Yeah, we did both of those things as well. And it is really special. We
Mhm.
had, did you do that too?
I don't remember.
I think you did. But
I
you
feel
maybe
like I
didn't.
did, but I don't remember seeing any pictures of that. I don't think. Maybe I do have them. So I don't actually remember.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a neat thing that
Mhm.
people do during the ceremony is having your parents come up and like pray for you. I think
Yeah.
it's either before, probably after you take your vows. And if you have the time to steal away for some golden hour,
Yeah, they're always
photos.
good. I feel like
Yep.
they're a fun touch. Yeah,
it's always worth
always
it.
a good idea. I think.
I wish we could have had an earlier wedding so we would have had more time to be with guests and celebrate with friends and family. Yeah. I kind of wish, but back to the receiving line thing that I was talking about
Mhm.
earlier. It would have been nice to have been able to do more of like a mingling thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have been able to talk to people more.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy because there's never going to be another time when both you and your husband's like friends and families are
Mhm.
all together in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you can carve out a little bit of time to try to mingle and be with people, it's really special.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's like, yeah, you have lots of people coming out for your wedding, and it's just like when it is your wedding, it's like there's not really, like, you don't actually get to interact with them that much.
I
don't
know.
feel like it's kind of because there's so much going on or so many people to talk to. It's just kind of the way it is. But I think if you had a more smaller, intimate wedding and, like, maybe did it earlier on in the day, then that would.
I don't know what we're right in the middle of talking about. Since we're on the theme of technical difficulties, my battery just died. So I just switched it out, but the one I switched it with is dying as well. So we'll see how
Something
long
about
we can go.
friends and family.
Yeah. Everyone's there in one place.
Yeah. And it's hard to, anyway, I think we already
Be
talked
with
about
everyone.
this, but yeah, it is a bummer that you can't spend more time with them. But
I
yeah.
know. I know this is controversial, but I love doing a first look down the aisle. For me and my husband, it was so special. And I did that too. I
Yeah.
thought it was really special. I always think it's super cool when people do that.
I feel like it definitely differs couple to couple.
I
Like, I think
know.
it's really neat both ways.
I
and
know.
Yeah, there's not really a right or wrong way.
Yeah.
What?
No, I don't know why I was giggling. But yeah, it makes the ceremony really special. Like when you're walking up the aisle, it's like seeing each other for the first time. Yeah, I love that. Take photos before the ceremony. Best decision ever. I wish I would not have worried and then just enjoyed the day.
I'm laughing because it's just like, that's like what I did. And the first look is like what you did.
I know. I tried to take as many photos as I could.
Yeah, your photos still went pretty fast, I feel
Like,
like.
I did all the ones with me and my bridesmaids, some with just me and my family. Like, any that I could without Keegan, I tried to. And then, since we did do a first look down the aisle, I just kind of had to make the sacrifice of, like, trying to do really quick pictures. Like, not taking too long with family photos and everything.
Yeah, it is. That is one nice thing about doing a first look is you can get the majority of the pictures done ahead of time. I mean, there's still some after, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would do a whole other color palette. Just did what was trending at the time and not what I truly loved.
That is kind of and that was actually one of my points, I think, but I didn't talk about it. Which for you, it wasn't actually what you loved. But one of my points is also going to be like, just because something's trending doesn't mean that like you need to do something different. Like if it's a trend and you like it, you can still do it. It's not like it's like, oh, like everyone's doing it, I need to do something different type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe just like look at yourself, like what did I like?
But for her, like obviously it was trending and she didn't really even like it.
Oh, this girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you try to think like a year ago would I have hated this for one. Might be an idea that like, oh, maybe I just like it because it's trending. Like, have I maybe consistently liked, like think about things that like for the past 5 years, obviously what I liked when I was 16 was like, yikes. It was probably like 2016 weddings.
Yes.
Not what I want to, you know, not really the vibe that I like now. But like, what have I kind of consistently liked? What kind of colors do I like to dress in? And that can kind of like reflect your personality and what you probably would still like years later.
And like it's like, you know, I'm sure everyone knows this, but the bottom line is like it's not like probably the style that you choose for your wedding is always going to be timeless or you're going to like it forever. Like your opinions change and your styles change. You don't have to pick something that's like needs to be timeless or whatever. I mean, like it's just like things change. It was just like what you like during that time. But yeah, definitely make sure that it's something that you like and don't just be doing it because it's trendy or that you don't want to be trendy or I don't know.
It's okay. You're probably not going to love every little decor piece. If you look back at your mom's wedding, like probably some of it looks really outdated and she maybe would still think that too. It's okay to not love everything. Don't order a program for each guest. One per family or one per adult is plenty. Yeah.
That is a really good idea. Like you don't need.
There's always tons left over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always would share one with Keegan almost. So just think about one per couple.
My friend Mia, my sister-in-law who just got married, they did have a shorter engagement, so she didn't even do programs. Like you wouldn't even have to do programs.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of maybe not everyone does that. Maybe that's more of an Anabaptist culture thing. I don't know.
I think it's pretty normal.
But like you could even just have like a poster or something of the timeline and the people or like maybe not a huge poster.
I know. If you're really
but like even just like a little card or something, like it's not if you're trying to cut something out, I feel like that would be a pretty easy thing to cut out, like expense wise and stress wise, whatever.
If you're going for like a cheaper, quicker wedding, that would be something easy to cut out. Last one is I wish we would have spent the money and hired a better photographer. So if we have one common theme, it's to look into your photographer. Anyways, I think we should wrap this up before the camera dies. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us, even with all of our technical difficulties. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and hopefully we were able to give you guys a little bit of advice, some things to think about if you or a friend or someone you know is wedding planning.
Yeah.
So be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, rate us 5 stars. It would mean so much.
I'm afraid he's gonna die.
So let's just doing all the plugs. Plug. Follow us on Instagram, all the things. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.